So if I asked you to graph these, that's what we just did on our last test. Like this was on your last test. And I know it's been a whole weekend, but you can't afford to forget that fast. But how about if we just have a little bit of help? Everybody graph these, and I'll ask different people. Instead of asking for like you to just volunteer, your class is so quiet. I'm just going to call on people because it's just not working to ask you to volunteer. So I'll just call on people. So Zane, tell me what the y-intercept is on that first one. 1. Everybody put a dot there if you haven't already. And then you have to rise and run. Let's go with Grant. From there, how much do we rise?
2.
How much do we run? And we put a dot. And that's all you got to do. Now, some kids go and make a ton of dots. Totally fine. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. You don't have to, though. But what you do have to do is put a line through them. All right. Now, if I do that, I lose all my dots. So I like to put the line through at the very end, because otherwise when I draw the line through it, you can't see the dots anymore. Now I'm going to graph x equals 3, and a ton of kids got this wrong, so let's talk about it. Here's a spot where x is 3, but then there was only 2 choices. 3 choices actually. Number 1, don't take that phone out. Number 1, you could go straight up and down with it. Number 2, you could go across with it. And number 3, you could just leave it as a dot. So, Dylan, what do you think we're supposed to do?
Go up and down.
Straight up and down, like this. Now, do you have to make a million dots? No, but you can see where those 2 lines touch, right? That's the key spot, of course. It's where those 2 lines crossed. So now I'm going to fill this line in with an actual line, and then I'll fill in this one with an actual line. And do you see that those 2 lines crossed at that spot? That's the solution. That's the answer. All right. So, all right, here is my spot. And where is that spot? Well, it's a point. It's at 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, comma 7. That's called the solution to the system. That's one way to solve them, is to just graph 2 lines and see where they cross. Your next test has all kinds of this. You just graph 2 lines, see where they cross, or you could solve it a different way with algebra. But today, I'm just supposed to teach you this way. I'm going to take just a second, though, and show you. If I wanted to solve this with algebra, do you get if x is 3? I could put a 3 where the x is. And then it tells me y equals 6 plus 1. I mean, that's 6, right? So then my point, remember, these answers are always points, would be x is 3, so that goes there. And 6 plus 1 is 7, 3, comma 7. All right. Glad you guys are here. You made it within the, so at least you're not counted absent. All right. So the next part, I'm going to give you 2 equations, and I want you to just see where they cross. You should be able to graph them. It should take you like 2 minutes. Today is a short lesson, partially because it's the first day of the chapter, so we always get the old test back. All right. Now, there's probably a couple of you that haven't taken that test. I'm going to just ask right now. Okay, so here's the one I want you to try to graph. Graph this. Y equals 4x plus, no, minus 2, and x equals 3. I'm going to pause for a second while you do this. I'll show you how to do it with algebra again also at the end. But for right now, do the graphs. All right, you should have started at -2, which is right there. Sadie, can you tell me where to go from there? I started here. Up 4, over 1, yep. Rise and run, rise and run. And they're all in a straight line, yay. And honestly, pro tip, I'd leave it that way. I wouldn't draw the line through it yet. At the end it would. And then x equals 3. Let's go with Sam Lowe. X equals 3.
Would it be over 3 and then a line up and down?
Yes, a line up and down right here. I can just draw a line, it'll be faster. And look, they overlapped right there. So that's my answer, that spot, something comma something. Ruby, what spot is that? Comma. And then, by the way, it's almost easier to just stick the 3 here, like with the algebra way, to figure out the other number.
10.
Yes, 3 comma 10. See how I checked that with algebra quick? I stuck the 3 right there, and it made me realize 4 times 3 is 12, minus 2 is 10. All right, cool. That's it. So basically, last test you already were tested on, can you graph stuff like this? And you're supposed to be able to, right? And most kids can. Now you just got to graph 2 on the same graph and see where they touch. That's it. Yay. Nice, easy day. All right. So, we are going to have a little in-class experience with that, a little bit of practice. So if you would open up right now, Schoology, and I will make sure it's in there and open. There is a worksheet, which is this on paper, and then there is a Schoology scorer, which basically is going to tell you if you did them right, okay? This should be done in class. This is an in-class activity, as in you should walk out of here with no homework as long as you do this worksheet and type it into Schoology and all that stuff. And then I'm going to hand back your tests. And then is there anybody else who has not taken the test? Tell me now, please, if you haven't taken the test. We all took on Thursday, right before conferences. All right. There's a big cup full of them up on my desk. Need a pencil? There's pencils on my desk. Young people nowadays. Okay. Graph them both, see where they cross. Now, let me just tell you, there's one more thing. What if they give you this and they ask you to graph it? One of those happens? It's not that hard. But how do you graph it if it's like that? If you were in my high school, we would have moved the 2x to the other side and made it negative 2x. If you were here, you probably would do minus 2x on both sides. Either way. Now I got this, but how am I supposed to graph 7 minus 2x? What is it really? It's negative 2x plus 7. See, you just put the x first. So bottom line, solve it for y. If they aren't solved for y, like I think the last one, the very last one that we have, isn't solved for y. So anyway, I cut this assignment down to just a few problems here so that it would all fit on one page, like the front and back of one page. And then the Schoology grader thing will tell you if you did them right. And that's all I got for you for today.